It has a multi-point of nature where the solution based on satellite can provide a flexible and very cost-effective answer to support us like fixed or web voice and data communication, DTV satellite transmission, and also network distributions. So speaking about the history of satellite hacking talk, we have to go back to the year 1996, where the Finneman for the first time talked about the low Earth orbit satellite at if I'm not mistaken, it was Black Hat, or maybe they kind of forgot. And then continue in 98, and somehow nobody talked about satellites since the year 2000 until the Spanish guy with the nickname Warsman talked about the DTV satellite hacking. And me and my colleagues Gary Andy here in Hacking the Box like 5 years ago, we talked about the possibility of hijacking VSAT connection, and we made some progress year after year, extending our research in the VSAT really. And then there's Adam Murray in 2009 talking about his previous research done like 10 years ago at the time. Because he said, I told him, he was inspired by my talk, because I tried to invite all the satellite hackers, because I believe there are many people who understand deeply about the satellite in terms of technical or maybe security, but maybe they don't have chance to actually expose it, maybe because the topic is not really popular. And then he finally came with the subject satellite hacking for profit, fun and profit. Continued with another Spanish guys, Leonardo, I don't know, and Christian Martorella. And this year, my extension of the satellite topic, it's about satellite telephony security. The original title was Security Might Be Seen But Cannot Be, but apparently Dylan has better suggestion on the title, what is and what will never be about the satellite telephony system. Speaking about the satellite phones, it is a personal communication system that has low-cost usage and can be used where no GSM coverage exists. And now, I think it's 2006 or 2008, the data communication and fax services are available through the satellite phone. And to imagine how the satellite phone is being used, you can like say, for example, you're in a shipping boat or a yacht, going maybe family, and or maybe just lost in the mountain, we have fun asking for help, or during the time of disaster, like in 2004, Indonesia, and also maybe some part of Malaysia and Thailand, India. We had a tsunami, and then most of NGOs at the time suddenly bring all the latest gadgets of satellite device, and well, at the same time I made some progress on the research on this particular subject as well. Or being used in the military, like in Afghanistan war or in Iraq war by United States military, or maybe alleged terrorists that use satellites. It's really broad users that use satellite system. Or maybe just a rich guy who was like skating. Hey, yeah. So the satellite telephone system is solely on the technology development progress. It's showing a huge improvement from time to time. For example, the terminal, or we call it mobile earth station, the size has been reduced and now getting smarter. This is a telephone. This one is also telephone. This one is global star. It has like a huge antenna. This one is Ericsson-based mobile phone that it works dual mode, GSM, and also the satellite used by SS, and then expanded to Inmarsat. What's funny with this interesting part with this mobile phone is Ericsson is no longer produced this model. Somehow they give away the design model to SS, and SS maybe, I'm not sure, because last time I spoke with them, they have planned to produce a new handset model based on the previous Ericsson, but after 3 years, still no progress. But what's interesting with this mobile phone, it enables roaming between two operators, between SS and also Inmarsat. And then this one is Iridium. And this is the interesting one. It's the Electrobit. It's new. It's smartphone. It's satellite phone as well. It's running Windows Mobile. So you'll know what I'm going to talk about later on. So let's talk about the network of the satellite telephone system. Before that, a brief introduction about how satellites work. The satellite is a communication system which is basically a radio relay station in orbit above the Earth that receives and then amplifies, redirect analog and digital signals carried on specific radio frequencies. We have known some low Earth orbit satellites that like 500 to 2,000 kilometers above the Earth, and at this we call it LEO, low Earth orbit. A satellite can circle the Earth in approximately 1.5 hours, and basically these orbits are much closer to the Earth and require those satellites to travel at very high speed in order to avoid being pulled out of the orbit by Earth gravity. And then we have medium Earth orbit, which is like 8K to 20K kilometers above the Earth, and these orbits are primarily reserved for communication satellites that covers like North and South Pole. This is like, if we pay attention on the shape, it's the oval shaped orbit. And then we have geosynchronous orbit that has like 35K kilometers above the Earth. This basically the satellite travels the same direction at the same speed as the Earth rotation on its axis. So it will take like 24 hours to complete the full trip around the globe. And because of that, the satellite will appear stationary with respect of the specific location on the Earth. For example, if the satellite position above Indonesia or Borneo, it will like stay there because of the speed and the direction. And we have another one, highly elliptical orbit is quite rare. It's over like 35K apogee. Now, some satellite phone system use satellites in geostationary orbit, which means it will remain in fixed position and it will maintain near continuous global coverage with, let's say, 3 or 4 satellites. So basically, it will like reduce the launch cost. There are some operators that fit in the geostationary Earth orbit satellite operator. There are SS, which is covers mostly Asia, East Asia, and also Southeast Asia. ICO, I think, yeah, in 2008 they launched finally the geo satellite ICO G1, and then there's Inmarsat, which is, if I'm not mistaken, is the oldest satellite phone operator back in, I think like it's 32 years old now, and then it has news coverage like most of the year except the polar region due to the stationary position. And we have the various like satellite mobile system that based in United Arab Emirates. They have now three satellites that cover Eurasia and then Africa. Plus with the Australia 3, I think they cover Australia now. The Skytra is an American company, and I think it's acquired by another company and become part of a new entity. I will strike with this company. And there are LEO or low orbit satellite operator, Globostar and Iridium. It's quite popular lately because of the coverage. And yeah, what's funny with the LEO, since the orbit is quite near to the Earth, you need to have like wide coverage. You need to have like plenty of satellite. For example, Iridium, they have 66 active satellites that are serving right now, and probably will add more in a few months to extend their coverage. And yeah, this is like the simplest diagram how the LEO communication satellite constellation system works. So basically, there's a gateway system that will forward your call or taking care of incoming call from the PSTN or cellular. It will transmit to the big satellite and forward to the nearest satellite to the end user terminal. That's the, I think the orbital altitude is around 500 to 1,500 kilometers. It's quite near. Then we have to understand the frequency band definition. It's because the satellite will transmit information within the radio frequency band, and the frequency band most used by satellite communication is C-band and some of the higher Ku band. And I believe in the next year we'll see the huge usage of Ku band due to range and frequency that can be covered by the particular band. And One access method that used by the satellite system to transmit the data or the voice or whatever they need to transmit. It's usually done by this method. It's called the CDMA, Transmission Multiple Access. It's basically a sharing usage of the satellite transponder, as you can see in the diagram, by a number of carrier signals in which each carrier will use the same frequency band at different time in sequential order. So each time the signal will be compressed to the highest speed first and be transmitted on its own time one by one. So, well, this is like time frame structure and time slots explaining each frame has a specific time slot. And then we know the code division multiple access is the sharing usage of the satellite transponder frequency by number of signal carrier, and each carrier will use the same frequency at the same time, meaning it's going to be parallel, but each signal will have its own identification characteristic or code. So it's different terms than we know in CDMA radio, well, anyway. And speaking about the coverage, this is the simple or maybe a simple diagram of the coverage of low Earth satellite orbits. As you can see, there are many satellites, and this one is geostationary, which is in Marsat. It has like 3 or maybe 4 satellites that can cover the whole area of the Earth except the pole. And this one is try to only cover specific area. Next we're going to talk about the spot beam. Since the mobile services are provided in a large regional coverage area, for example here, Eastern Asia, covering Japan, Indonesia, and India, it will define by the orbital position and of the geosynchronous satellite and also the satellite payload performance. The subscribers that located anywhere in the coverage may have full use of this system, and this is like the typical distribution of the spot beams. It looks like a beehive. And this is the L-band spot beam for a mobile satellite user. These satellites spot beam differ from the GSM cells that they are large, regularly shaped, and originally originate from the same point source like satellites. Then they are synchronized, and because of their large size, it can cover like several hundred kilometers in diameter. They overlap national boundaries and also the surface area. Meanwhile, the GSM cells are very small, irregular, and it really depends on the terrain features, and also originated from different geographical positions. For example, here maybe one BTS placed on top of clearly, the other one maybe like for example in Malaysia you can see some BTS installed in the mountain or hills. So the GSM cell is always assumed to be contained within a single country, while the satellite spot beam has no boundaries. So this different necessity, very different with used to encrypt the location update or IMSI attach process. So it's a bit tricky to actually exploit it. And then they have GMR extended services, which is like single hop from terminal to another terminal in order to avoid a large delay, because we deal with a satellite associated with the double satellite hop from mobile terminal to another mobile terminal call through the satellite. And they have like optimal routing that allow terminal calls to be routed to preferred gateway station, different than the regular gateway station which that terminal registered. And also high penetration routing, where the system will allow subscribers to be paged even when the terminal is normally out of coverage area. And then position-based services, it's using the GPS system. They will provide raw information on the GMR1 user terminal. Then we have GMR2. It's quite similar with GMR1, except it provides more flexibility on the data services. And the connectivity of the GMR2, it's provided by the satellite and fixed ground equipment, whose main elements are gateway and network control centers. So yeah, the system elements, it will have standard network control center, and then the customer management information center, numbers of gateways, and also each gateway will connect to the PSTN or private network or public LAN mobile networks. And GMR2 use C-band feeder link beam for communication between the satellite and the ground equipment. For example, here in Batam, there's a satellite control center that acting as a gateway as well. And then here's the L-band spot beam for the customer, and as we can see, it serves the same coverage, as you can see. And then for example, like here, there's a fishing boat in China Sea from Japan that is waiting for Indonesian fishing boat. They do transaction over the sea, avoiding taxes, etc. Or maybe a drug lord in the backyard of Thailand, Cambodia, or maybe Vietnam. They are the main user of the satellite network in this area, because on the land or on the terrain, basically we covered with the trees and jungle, and then since the system requires clear offsite between the handhelds to the satellites, it won't work if you sit under the tree or under the building, not like a standard GSM. And from the functional point of view, the gateway implements some sort of like radio modem function of the terrestrial BTS, as we can say that. And it has like radio resource management function of BSC, and switching function of MSC. So basically, any GSM operator can also extend into the satellite phone operator just by extending the RFIF this part to the gateway access. And next, we're going to talk about the GMR satellite monitoring system, or many of us always interpret the word monitoring with intercepting. So why satellite phone interception? It has many reasons. As bigger excuses, law enforcement requires the tapping. They put some sort of like law enforcement device owned in the gateway, try to sniff almost everything that through the network. And also we can do interception on the test equipment because it has debug mode enabled most of the time. And also limited use of encryption. As we know, as I said earlier, the encryption A5/2, it's used for the data or the content, while the A51 is only used for the protecting the entity. And also we can do interception on modifiable phone equipment. I think last year Carsten Noll made a presentation about the GSM sniffing using I forget the brand, Siemens C something model. In order to success to do like interception, we can do something tactical interception that will receive L-band from the satellite and from the line of sight of the handset, and also strategic interception receives L-band from the satellite and the C-band from the satellite. I'll explain everything later. So this is like the typical satellite interception operation. There's a gateway, there's a handheld or the client. The communication between the satellite and the terminal or mobile earth station or a handset, it's effected using frequency L-band. It's around 1.6 gigahertz and 1.5 gigahertz for the uplink and downlink frequency respectively. And the primary gateway earth station provides connection to the terrestrial communication, for example like PSTN, TN, or it has like 6 gigahertz and 3 gigahertz for the uplink and downlink. This gateway also act as a satellite operation center. They will provide all the tracking, telemetry, command function for the satellite as well as its uplink beacon. So since the satellite use number of spot beams for the communication with the handheld or end user or mass in this case, which can be combined and reconfigured from the ground, the fact that it's the network use GPS position provided by the mass, and it will report it to the gateway in order to get the correct spot beam. However, for security reasons, this is I quote from the technical documentation I have. The accuracy of the GPS position is deliberately limited to around 100 meters. So I don't know if it's for the real security reason or maybe, I don't know. I mean, like on GSM, you can nearly provide near correct GPS position. Still not sure why the satellite operator cannot provide the accuracy of the GPS position for their clients. Maybe they're afraid the client will be a target for rockets. I don't know. So the first method is doing tactical satellite operation, meaning that you will have some sort of equipment, mobile equipment, that do monitoring of the satellite stream It's limited to 1.5 gigahertz because you're not client. And you have to be near the target or victim, basically anywhere that radio line of sight. So see this monitoring system. It's basically done by some operational team on the ground, providing the real-time intercept for the handset user, for the local operation center, and this system it's portable and can be rapidly disassembled and moved to another area. It's relatively cheap, and it's a good choice of intercepting or monitoring location that use one antenna mast, and it will provide great range. The handset uplink signal with this line of sight to the client, and it's usually operated on by intelligence bodies or military. And it has, well, this is the simple version of the equipment. It has a satellite antenna and then the uplink antenna on the different channels. There's a down converter with the intermediate frequency that will carry the data and its shift as an intermediate step in transmission and reception. And what we can get from this tactical method, it's some sort of call analysis. It has like spot beams ID, GPS coordinates, operating frequency, date, time, duration calls, mass IMSI, GPS coordinated, etc. And also encryption algorithm. And then there's a strategic one. It mainly used to monitor like specific operator. It will like passively intercept downlinks from the satellite C-bands. On the left, it's a C-band, and L-band of the client, so it's on the right, and the setup it's similar like a gateway, but doing passively monitored. And the similar setup, it's just like having a VSAT, as I saw on my previous topic demonstration, if you hear like 2 years ago. So this strategic interception operation will provide continual live operation monitoring of the handset of the users, and all the calls, data transmitted, voice, SMS are recorded, stored in database. You can search electron and be used in standalone system, or maybe interface to a proprietary recording center for analysis, or maybe transcription. So the typical C-band disk that can be used for the monitoring center is the standard 7 to 9 meters that can receive the C-band downlink. Okay, we have 15 minutes left. I'm not supposed to do a demo. First, it's not good. It's not cool. Second, I have problem with some operator because I signed some NDAs because of in order to get the knowledge of the satellite system, there are several ways to get it. You can go through all the patents, or you can talk to ex-employee, which is rarely of them will talk and give the detail. Or you can hack the system, or doing consulting for them, and they will share some of their knowledge. And I was fall to the last one, and so if we agree that we pretend there's no demo in this talk, everybody in this room agree that there's no demo, I will play. What? Okay, you didn't see anything. That's great. Since I get your approval, I'll show you. This is some sort of the system that I cannot say we, but it's a monitoring, strategic monitoring system that cover specific operator. I couldn't name the name. So basically, you can read the SMS. As you can see, it's done in Arabic. Come on, don't take a picture. Come on, you leave me with no choice. I can be jobless next month. And then we can also, for record voice, I cannot play the audio. Anyway, there's a real voice actually, doing conversation. And come on. And as we can see, the information that we can get from this particular setup is numbers, dates, duration of calls, or time that communication happens, TMC information, and dial number or caller ID if there's a caller ID. IMSI, but only the last few digits. Email, region if the spot beam activating some code. Location, that's for sure. So basically, the original idea is only for monitoring, but it happened to be interception. I'll explain later why. And this is like maybe some guys in Afghanistan, some terrorists tried to hide Osama at that time. Anyway, so yeah, basically by doing passive monitoring, we can collect all the information and that done by the clients in specific regions. See, not cool. Okay, so as I understand, in Asia during the talk, usually there is less question in the end of the talk. So I began to think it might be better to start a new trend. Let's make a frequently asked question. So the normal or the usual question is, the technique is operator specific? The answer is yes and no. For example, like some operator, as I said earlier, in Marsat and SS, they share the same technology, so any interception against SS will also apply to Inmarsat. But in this case, only those two that a similarity. And what about the LEO satellite phone system like Globalstar or Iridium? It's still possible, but only for tactical monitoring. Why? Because of the LEO nature of the system. The orbit is too low, so any monitoring center, it won't cover the whole area. And last night, there's an interesting discussion about the client security issue, which happened to be brought up by Benjamin Kunz, one of the speaker. And since
Electrobit released the Windows Mobile satellite handhelds, Windows smartphone. So I began to think like it might possible to do like what the government agency or hackers do in the normal GSM handhelds. I believe since they are like always traveling, the user won't have time to actually update their software. It might easier for us to, no, not for us, but for this government agency to plan like Trojan horse or like attacking the client apps. And what about encryption? That's really interesting because GMR 1 or 2 is based on GSM. Now I start asking question: do you still believe in GSM is secure? What's next? I mean, like, since this is very basic, I'm trying to expand my research so I can open and speak freely maybe in the future. But I will suggest you to visit this project called Osmocom GMR. They've done very interesting stuff in the past few years related with the GSM, Tetra radio, and now I think starting September or October they began talk about or maybe doing some project on satellite mobile system. And in this website you can also learn how to receive the satellite mobile system packets and Osmocom GMR software. So if you want to build your own tactical intercept system, you can start from here. And again, Thuraya is the famous victim for this because it's widely used, relatively cheap, and they have many users. And speaking about the GSM encryption, last year Carsten Knoll and Stephen Munoz, they were presenting the wideband GSM sniffing at 27th CCC. Basically, they were just running series of phones running modified Osmocom BB as a GSM packet sniffer. And since the GSM A51 encryption can be cracked in seconds, the complexity of the wireless phone snooping moved to the signal processing, and I believe some initiative already take a look on the how GMR implementation on this encryption algorithm. And interesting note is like for decades this cellular industry comprised the cell phones chip maker and the network operator. They keep their hardware and the system level of software as well as GSM protocol stack implementation close. I can tell you that it's not only GSM, all the GMR technology implementation also close. That is why I say there's at least 4 options for you in order to understand the satellite phone system, how it works. It's either you become part of them, work with them, or you can start hacking or working as a consultant. So I think that's the end of my presentation today. I do hope this satellite specific area can be an interesting subject for you hackers or general public to start looking at this technology, because maybe it's almost forgotten. Not many people remember that, oh, we have satellite system, or we do have satellite phones. So yeah, that's the end of it. So I hope that's clear. Questions? No questions. Good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jim.